week's CybHER conversation brought to you by Peraton. My name is Audrey Murphy, and on behalf of Peraton, we are proud to partner with CybHER to bring you these weekly conversations. For those of you who are joining us for the first time today, CybHER is a program out of Dakota State University in Madison, South Dakota, that works to motivate, empower, and educate young women in cybersecurity. Just a reminder, if at any point in the program you have a question, you can ask it via the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. I'm very honored to introduce today's speaker, Monica Verma. Monica has almost 14 years of experience in information technology and cybersecurity. She started her career as a developer and an ethical hacker. Today, she is the Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, at the Norwegian Directorate of Health. And she took this role to combine her passion and experience in security and her desire to contribute to and promote the health industry. She has previously held a CISO role and worked as head of security, risk, and business continuity for the finance sector. She is a board member of the Cloud Security Alliance Norway and Women in Cybersecurity Norway. She leads not-for-profit initiatives such as MonicaTalksCyber.com and the We Talk Cyber podcast series. And in 2019, she won the award for Outstanding Security Advisor in Norway by the Norwegian Business Council and Business and Industry Security Council. Monica, thanks so much for being here today.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me on today.
So Monica, why don't you give us a little bit about your background and why you chose the field that you did?
Yeah, I mean, it goes actually way before I even knew that I had passion for technology. Let's go back to when I was 10 years old. I was flying to the States with my father, and somehow we had like one of these, very front seats. I was like 10 years old as a kid, and flying, having fun, and just like, relaxing and stuff. And then, because we were very close to the cockpit, at some point the pilot comes out and sees me as a kid and just like asks me and invites me to see the cockpit. And I, as a child, was absolutely thrilled. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna see the view from the cockpit, like how it actually looks like, being in a pilot's position. What actually happened was a bit different. I stepped into the cockpit and I till date don't remember or know how the view was because my entire concentration was on the dashboard. I got so spellbound by the technology in there and I was like, oh my God, how is this like a whole array of switches here and there, like hundreds and thousands of those, keeping us afloat in the air? How is that even happening? And I got really excited about it. And I believe that since I was a kid, I was very curious. I was always asking questions, and I was lucky enough to have a parent and parents who would actually promote me to ask questions. I was raised with something that was called like ask why. I was taught to ask why, and that something is so crucial and important. So as I grew and I went to the field of deciding, okay, what I want to do, and I started doing programming, and then I learned very quickly that you can abuse program. And that you can make it do things that they're not supposed to do. That's not intention, but you can get them to do it. And that's where I got into hacking. And that's where my whole journey started. That time, it was not like we had any field called cybersecurity in that sense. Yeah, we did have like some kind of network security and some kind of like hacking things here and there. And web application security was very new that time. And people were just doing that. So I was like, okay, how do I get to, because there were no programs, right? And I was like, okay, how do I get to study something and make a career in something that doesn't actually exist, at least at an academic level? So I convinced so I was studying cryptography. I was studying like all these Oracle models and like full on theoretical cryptography and security in that sense. And then I convinced my cryptography professor and a very, very renowned, fantastic person in this world in cybersecurity, which is Jeremiah Grossman. He has been my mentor for almost 15 years, I would say so, or even longer actually. But we have known each other for like almost 2 decades now. And I just like convinced both of them to be like my professors for a master thesis on web application adversarial modeling. Something that I just took the initiative of and do. And funnily, the university accepted it. We had no subject called web application security. Well, that's where my journey started, and I became a hacker, and then very quickly I realized that there's one aspect of technology and this is what is important today, is that over the last 15, 20 years, what has happened is that technology, we have moved from network security and computer security and IT security to information security, which has the aspect of people and process and organization, which we didn't think of before as a part of security. So to bridge that gap, I decided that I wanted to work with risk management. And that's where my leadership journey started. So for the last 7 to 8 years, I've been in various leadership roles. I've worked as head of risk management. I've worked as head of cloud security. You mentioned I was head of security business and risk and business continuity in finance sector. And recently I joined as, so previously I was CISO in the finance, now I'm the CISO in the healthcare. The reason being a lot of fun, fantastic things are happening in health right now. At the same time, it's one of the target sectors for all the cyber criminals today and cyber attacks that are happening. So it's very interesting, it's very challenging, and I always love a good challenge. So that's something that I decided that I would do. At the same time, I love, because of the experiences that I've had and challenges that I've faced as well, it's not been an easy journey, let's just put it out right there. But because of all the challenges that I faced, I started to, I joined the Cloud Security Alliance to educate people about cloud security. It's not black and white. There are a lot of benefits to it. What does it actually entail? So cloud security requires a very different mindset than just normal security. But the thing is, like, information security today has so many fantastic fields in some domains that didn't exist 20 years ago. That's the beauty of it. And the other aspect is that I wanted to bring more knowledge and resources to people. So I started my own podcast, which is called We Talk Cyber. I started my own initiatives, which is MonicaTalksCyber.com. There are free resources on my YouTube channel, which is, again, MonicaTalksCyber.com. So if you type Monica Talk Cyber, you will find me everywhere. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn. I post very often. So LinkedIn is my main platform where I'm very active. I'm sharing all the resources. Everything is free. Everything is nonprofit. There are no fees, no hidden charges. And I just want to bring that to the community. So that's literally, yeah, that's a summary of how my journey has been over the last 2 decades.
That is amazing. And, initiatives like yours, they're really, really important in educating people about cybersecurity, bringing more awareness about cybersecurity into the general public. It's just, it's so sad that even after so many years of being like this good, great field, the perception of people working in cyber is still that of a white dude just in the basement with his, hoodie up, and just, it's so sad to think about, but that's the way we are depicted in like movies and TV series and everywhere. That's how cyber professionals are depicted, and it's still, it's just a little sad.
I know what you mean. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Let me share one very important story here. When I was hacking, I have been through this experience myself. I didn't realize at that point, but now when I think about it, I always try to fit in. I was probably the only woman in the entire team. I mean, it was very rare that there were other women, even if there was maybe one more, right? But the thing was, most of the times in the meetings and on the table, in conversations, in projects, you're the only woman on the team, especially if you're working so technical. So I tried to like fit in, and I tried to be like one of the boys, you know what I mean? And it didn't really work because I didn't get accepted nonetheless. But I think like some of them who wanted to accept me anyway accepted me for who I am. The one who didn't want to anyway didn't, even if no matter how much I adapted and adjusted and be somebody else. So at the end, when I realized that this was not working at all and I was unhappy, I stopped trying to fit in and be comfortable in that. And then I realized that few people still accepted me for who I was. So it was not all that bad. But then you really find out who actually would accept you for who you are, and that's the kind of people you want to be around. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any hoodie today. I don't wear any hoodies. Even when I was hacking, I was not. I mean, I put this bold lipstick and all these things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I look. It doesn't matter what language I speak. It doesn't matter where I come from. It doesn't matter the color of my skin. It's what's important is that we have equity in this organization, in this community, and the society. I literally yesterday posted on LinkedIn about it, that today, like when I talk a lot about diversity, inclusion, and equity in the organization, but then what happens as a side effect, I get labeled as a female, as a woman in cybersecurity, or as a female CISO. Well, I'm not. I am a CISO like everybody else. There is no difference about it. Don't label me for that. But yet we do have to talk about representation, sure. But we have to do that. We have to talk about equity while breaking those labels. That's what it really is about. So yeah, the society, the more we are not there yet, right? We have a lot of work to do, and one of the things I also say is it has to be sustainable. And for it to be sustainable, we have to start at home. We have to start with kids. You have to start the way we are raising. And a lot of my stories around this, actually, if you go through my like LinkedIn posts, you will see a lot of my stories around it is actually around my childhood, how I was raised. I realized that today that I learned 20 or 30, 35 years ago an implicit lesson of equity, how my parents raised us and how they divided things between them in a fair way, independent of gender or of anything. And I feel like that made a lot of difference. I have the ability to break out of those labels or that shell or what I was not supposed to be because of those things that now I realize after 30 plus years.
And what you just said, actually makes a lot of, um, I don't want to say sense. Yeah, what you just said resonates with me a lot, because while there is a need for more diversity within genders and races in cybersecurity, it's also important to recognize that we have talents. Everybody has their own niche, everybody has their own talent, and we don't want to be said, oh, she's the female lead in this group. No, I'm just the lead. I'm the leader of this group. You don't It's good that you realize that I'm female, but also at the same time, I'm the lead. And you should recognize me for my talents as being able to lead a team. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
I mean, the thing is also this, right? You can recognize, like, you can see and look at me and say, I'm a female. That's obvious, right? But I'm German Indian. Not everybody can recognize that. I don't go around and saying that I'm a German Indian CISO. That's not how it works, right? So what's the point of actually labeling those things? It doesn't really matter. It's actually even not about, it's talent, it's skills, but it's also attitude, you know? And that's where we come to this whole aspect of what's happening in the industry is quite sometimes sad with hiring. People look for sometimes, like, I mean, this is a problem. I have to be honest about it, right? Hiring managers are looking for 5 to 7 to 10 years of experience for entry level position, and it makes zero sense. And I feel like even if you put skills first, even if you put skills which are exaggerated, it's still, skills don't come first anyway. I mean, the first thing I think that comes is attitude. Do you have the right attitude? Do you have the right fit? If a person is willing to learn and do things, that person with a better attitude and less skills will go faster, will be better for the organization than somebody with skills but a shitty attitude, for that matter. Pardon my French, but you know what I mean, right? So there's a lot of like aspects that we are not looking into, and I feel like that's where we need to get better.
exactly. And another thing, I was speaking to a potential conversations guest yesterday, and she had mentioned, I never really thought about it this way, but when people are looking at hiring more women or more people into their team, how do you do that? You don't just go out into the street and see, oh, you come work for me. No, it doesn't work that way. Even though we need more diversity, even though we need more inclusivity in this particular sector, we still need to look at skills. We still need to look at the attitude that these people bring into this field, because not everybody is just able to, come in and just, it doesn't work that way. So yeah,
That's correct. And the thing is with hiring women, first of all, do it for the right reasons. Okay, don't do it just because you want to jump on the bandwagon that yeah, we are a diverse and inclusive organization. Let's just cut that, please.
yeah,
Second thing is when you do that, the way you write the position, the way you are neutral in your job description, those are the things you need to do. You don't need to go around. I mean, you have to do things like break the barriers for women and minorities to be a part of this community and group. Let them a lot of the positions happen because of networking, because you heard from someone who heard from someone who heard from someone is the fantastic guy. Why don't he apply for this job, right? Well, give that same platform for minorities, to women, so do these things that are sustainable change, that are neutral, that are inclusive, instead of just going around like, okay, let's pick 3 women and let's just get them to apply and let's pick one of them just because we want to fulfill the quota. I mean, that's where how you need to change the way you actually hire.
I couldn't agree more with you. That is what you just said is perfect, because just for the sake of having diversity, you don't hire people. You hire them based on their skills. It doesn't matter where they come from, or if you've heard about them from some third party, from some third other party. You hire them because you need people that have that creativity, that have the attitude to fit in right with your team. So
And plus, I want to say one last thing to just end on that note, that diversity in not only what we see, but also in what we hear. The reason we want to do that is because we want people with different opinions, mindsets, understandings, so that we can actually have an enriching organization. If 10 people are in your team which are exactly like you, think like you, agree with you on 100 things and everything, you are not benefiting. You're not the most productive. So, I mean, studies have shown that, right? So it's not diversity in what we see, but also in what we hear. Very important.
I love that. I'm gonna write it down. That is wonderful. So you're a CISO, right? What does it take for you, not just not you in particular, but what does it take to be an effective CISO?
That's a very good question, because I mean, this is a role that is not as mature and as old as the other C-level roles like CEO and CFO and CDO and so on. The CISO role has obviously evolved over the last decade and two. But what's still missing is, like, a lot of people in a lot of organizations, due to the reduced maturity or not the right level of maturity in the organization, understand as a CISO role to be a person who's a technical security expert, or that's one side of it. Like, they just consider, like, they want to have like a glorified security engineer, but call them as CISO, right? And it's nothing but more than a glorified security engineer who just knows like security, technical security, and so on. On the other hand, the issue is some organizations see as CISO like, this person will have to now do everything from A to Z when it comes to information security and cybersecurity at every level, at both strategic level and tactical level and operational level, and that's not what it is about either. A CISO role is really a leadership role, and we have to see it as a leadership role. It's a advisory role. It's a role of it's a strategic role. Let's just say it that way. It's not a technical role. CISO role is not a technical role. If a company has it as a technical role, it's because they're not mature enough, which doesn't mean that you cannot take that role, but you have to just bear in mind that you will have to be the bearer of bringing that change to the organization so they understand a CISO role is not a technical role. So if you do step into such kind of a role, then just be ready to like bring that to the organization. You will have to make an effort there. But a CISO role, to be an effective CISO, you have to build alliances. You have to understand what the architecture is doing, what the security engineers are doing, but you have to understand a little bit of everything. You don't need to know everything. You need to build like a Justice League. You need to build like, that's the example that I use. Like, people say that a CISO is a superwoman or a Wonder Woman or a Superman, but that's not it. That's really not it. I mean, you don't have to be the Wonder Woman or the Superman. You just need to have the right alliances. You need to have your own Justice League. You need to have the right people, right interfaces into different aspects, because the reality is information security is a part of the entire organization and business. Rightly so. So then what do you think? As one person can just know the entire aspect of every organization and everything? No, they can't. It's impossible, right? So like a CEO, the CEO knows their own field, but then they rely on different expertise in the organizations to guide them, right? That's the same with CISO as well. I need to have lawyers. I need to have privacy officers. I need to have security architects. I need to have all these people that I rely on for ensuring that cybersecurity, information security works harmoniously in the entire organization. I at a strategic level, but there are people that are at this tactical and operational level, and that it works as a smooth engine as a part of that Justice League. That's how you become an effective CISO. And you need to have the right communication tailored to the audience.
I like your analogy about the Justice League. It's
Thank you.
perfect because that's so true. And recently I attended the RSA conference this year. It was virtual.
Right.
And one of the keynotes was about the solar winds thing that happened here. So he was talking about how it's not just why he didn't just like place the blame on his CISO alone, because he's one single person. and to prevent an attack of this magnitude would take a whole team. So it's not just on the one CISO, it's the entire team. Anything related to security, your CISO may be like your kind of point of contact, but the CISO
Correct.
also has
Advisor, right? That's an
exactly.
advisor to all the different aspects and interfaces in the organization. But and that's true. I mean, CISOs get blamed for any kind of cyber attacks that happen, which is really like ridiculous. I mean, first thing they do is fire a CISO, which just, I think doesn't make sense. The first thing they should do is, before attack happen, put the budget. That's the first thing they should do. Because suddenly after the attack, the budget comes from anywhere and nowhere, which is fantastic. I don't know how miraculously the budget appears after a cyber attack, which is never there before. But another aspect is also that accountability. There is one thing of who's okay. So the thing is a CISO is not accountable. A CISO is responsible. I, as a CISO, am responsible for ensuring that we have the right policies, that we have the right security frameworks, that we have the right security strategies, that they're operationalized in the organizations, in different departments, in different areas correctly, and help them and do the follow-ups and all these things. But the accountability lies still with either the CEO or the board. So when something happens, they are accountable. It's their organization. And that's where we sometimes lack the understanding of the difference between responsibility and accountability when it comes to security.
Very true. So what does your day look like? A typical day in your CISO
Oh,
role? How does it look like?
oh, that's actually, you mean like both private and professional or just professional?
You could do either or both together.
Okay, let me say. So I have a very, very busy schedule. It's because I like busy, but it's not like busy because like I don't have time, but because I have time for the right things. I think effective time management is very important, and I've learned one thing over my last 2 decades is that I don't have time for something just means it's not priority for you. That's it. If something is priority for you, you will deprioritize other things and you will make time for it. The point is not to do everything. The point is to prioritize them correctly. So what I usually do when my day looks like, well, it's a lot of CISO work. I'm talking to a lot of people that are luckily not just security people, which is the fun part. I actually enjoy a lot of conversations with non-security people, so no offense to them, but I love talking with business. I love talking with different departments and how I can help them. So a lot of the work is gone into the projects for cybersecurity, the entire program and framework, and operationalizing it in the organization, reporting and communication. A lot of the time actually also goes on, well, social media, on LinkedIn, where I'm like publishing things out, and a lot of the time goes on my podcast show when I'm putting out episodes every second week. A lot of the time goes on training. I believe one has to have the health and the mind. So I do take time to like play tennis, or I love to do kayaking and stuff whenever the weather is good, depending on that. Fitness, working out and stuff. So yeah, it's like spending time with the family. That's very important as well. So a lot of the time is actually I try. My day usually goes in like always trying to optimize it. Let's say it. I'm not. I don't think I've optimized it yet, but I'm constantly trying to optimize because I do want to enjoy things in life and I do want to be good at what I'm doing as well. For me, quality really matters much more than quantity. And there is no perfect. I've learned it the hard way. There is no perfect. Don't aim for perfect. You will never get anything done. So yeah, that's kind of like how my days look like.
It's very interesting. And your optimization thing, me too. I always try. I'm like, okay, maybe I can fit. I have a dog at home, and I'm on campus most of the day. I'm like, okay, so I wake up at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna take her out for a walk, and then shower, get ready, go to college, come back, and then take her out again. It's just always finding ways to make it more efficient and more effective. I like that.
That just reminds me also one other thing. I read a lot of non-security books. I actually love reading non-security books more than anything else, like psychology and any other aspect of business and entrepreneurship or whatever that can help me. Actually, I love to use them in my profession in cybersecurity and how I can optimize things. So I read one of these books called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Definitely recommend it. I mean, how you can incentivize doing the hard things and then give yourself a treat is this very good way of actually getting things done. So I love that book. I would recommend that to everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good book. So, We have another question. So, what would you like your lasting impact to be?
Lasting impact. Oh, wow, that's a very deep question. Oh, I don't think I've thought about that so far. Interesting. Um, hmm. Let's say this. Maybe two lasting impacts. One, to actually make it simple for businesses. I think cybersecurity can do so much wonderful things for businesses that we haven't really optimized it yet in a simple way. So I have this mantra. It's on my blog everywhere. I use it everywhere. So I've learned this and I've actually implemented it, and I think it works fantastically. So back to your question about effective CISO. Simplify, focus, execute. That is my mantra. I want to be known for that, that every organization in this world is doing that. That will be amazing. The other thing I want to have a lasting impact on, that we have a sustainable change in this in this industry and community of how we bring people in, how we utilize resources, how we include resources, and we can actually have a sustain it at a sustainability level, that it starts from home. It starts as a kid. It starts both in terms of dreaming, both in terms of people, parents, schools, teachers, everybody understanding that please let them dream. But it's also not that every girl now has to go out and say like, oh, you need to be in STEM. No. I mean, if you don't want to be, you don't have to be. That's the whole point. You can dream whatever you wish, including STEM, but not only STEM. So let's not force them in that direction either. Let's not like just go in like one or the other direction. So I want to have a lasting impact in terms of how this community evolves for bringing people in, and how my philosophy and the work that I'm doing and all the other fantastic professionals in the industry, making it simple, more focused, and executable for businesses.
I love that so much. That is fantastic. And I really hope that we are able to do that. Like as a community together, I really hope that we're able to do that.
That would be fantastic, right?
Yeah. And
But
now,
then on my tombstone, you can write Monica Verma, Wonder Woman. No, just joking.
oh my God. Oh, you want to see something?
Oh my God,
Give me
gorgeous.
1 second. Right next to me on my desk.
I've seen that movie 4 times in different theaters, one in IMAX, and there's otherwise like 3D and 2D and everything.
I love Wonder Woman. I want to be her, but unfortunately.
Yeah, well, build your Justice League. That's what you need.
Exactly. We'll build the Justice League. I love that. Um, Going ahead, what is one risk that you took in your career that really paid off?
Yeah, okay. If I can be very honest, it's this. I have had a shift in my career, and a lot of people told me like, don't do that. Like obviously I shifted from technical to like risk entirely in one go, and then at some place when I found that a company culture was toxic, I just left it, independent of how short time I was in the organization. And in different countries and different cultures, it's seen as like, yeah, you should stay at a company at least 3 years. I don't know, somehow it's like a taboo or something. But the point is this: the risk that I've taken is that I have literally, when I've had a gut feeling and listened to my heart, and independent of what people have said, a lot of people have hated me for that, but I think it has paid off. I mean, I can also give you another example. Once I left one of my ex managers, who's probably an example of the worst leader, or actually can't even call him a leader. I asked him when I was trying for my very first CISO role. Like now I've been in quite many, but then when I was trying for my first one, I asked him to be my reference, and he told me to stay in my lane. He told me like, just stay in your lane. Like, why are you even bothering? And I mean, I'm too young to be a CISO. I mean, I started like, I think I became CISO when I was like 33, 4 or something like that. I can't remember my exact age, but something like that, right? So I was literally told stay in my lane, and I was like, I just didn't say anything to him, but I told myself, of course not. I mean, what do you mean by stay in the lane? And I just did that, and I'm happy that I did that. I mean, it was hurtful. It was definitely very demoralizing. But yeah, here I am today, and I don't regret it a bit.
And I'm so glad you didn't, because what you just said, he can't even call him a leader. So that's
But
true.
that's the thing, just to tell you all there are a lot of people that will support you. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of fantastic people. Stay with them, keep them around you. Do not fear of losing anyone who's not supporting you. That's maybe the key. Like, I dare to get rid of people independent of how fantastic positions they had in the community or how much political power they had in our organization. Ultimately, you have to live with your decisions and your peace and your mind and your heart, and nothing is worth losing that over someone. So if they're not a good influence, if they're not supportive, get rid of them independent of what they think of you.
I actually was gonna wrap up the Q&A by asking what advice do you have for our young viewers, but you just gave beautiful advice.
Follow your heart, ultimately. I mean, sometimes it's difficult, and I'm also at a threshold today where some things, like, I have had the, how do you say, whenever my heart and my gut has told me something, I have followed it, and I've not regretted it to date. There are sometimes when something doesn't come naturally from my heart or from my gut, and then I just wait because I know it will happen when the right time is right. So be patient, follow ultimately your heart. You're living your life, nobody else's. Do not let anyone steer your life at all. And if your family is supportive, they will support you nonetheless. If your friends are supportive, they will support you nonetheless. So that's really important.
Thank you so much for taking the time to answer all our questions, and you have been such a wonderful guest for us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I am now going to launch a quick poll to our audience, and while you guys fill out the poll, let me tell you something else. Today, Monica, you are our, I don't know quite the number yet, but we launched Cyber Conversations last year in June, and now we are at a 1 year. So yay!
Happy anniversary! Oh, fantastic!
Thank you. We are just so glad that you have all been part of Cyber Conversations. You know, our main goal was to show all the young women out there that there's no one direct path into cybersecurity, and all the professionals that we've had so far have gone on to show that exactly that we can all be whatever we want to be. And that's the kind of confidence, that's the kind of motivation that we wanted to provide. And we're so glad that this marks the 1 year that we've launched Cyber Conversations.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And I have to say, it's been also 1 year now that I've started my podcast, or it will be 1 year end of June.
Yay! Congratulations to you too.
So season 2 is out, and so we finished season 1 last year, and season 2 is now ongoing, and season 3 will come next year. It's already in progress. Things are rolling around. So
yes.
A lot of things to come.
Yes. Oh my God, that is so exciting. And with that, I would like to also bring you some other news. So far, we've had CybHER conversations every Wednesday. And so we are trying a little differently starting year 2. We will now have CybHER conversations every other Wednesday. So it gives us a little time to promote our events more and, you know, get feedback from you guys about what you've liked so far. What do you think? Or if you have anyone that you think would be a great speaker or a great guest on CybHER conversations, you know, just let us know. And so we will start posting about the June guests on our website in the next couple of days. So we really hope all of you will be able to join us in June and July and August and September and so on and so forth. And like always, please go to our YouTube channel where you can find all the previous CybHER conversation recordings and other fantastic things that we always have posted on there. Also follow us on our social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And with that, I am going to end the poll. And Monica, thank you so much for being our guest today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
And I hope all of you have a wonderful evening. Thank you, and see you in 2 weeks.
Take care, everyone.